Donald J. Trump is an American businessman and politician who is also known as the 45th President of the United States. Trump uses social media networks and campaign speeches as a way to communicate his ideas in a powerful manner. With his subjective tone and special use of language, he is able to appeal to a certain audience as well as attack groups of individuals. As Dan Libet once said, his speaking style is considered to be unscripted with a self-interrupting sentence structure that continues to overwhelm the human brains. Trump chooses his use of language very carefully and strategically. Some of the common ways he uses language are as follows. First off, he makes use of sentence fragments. He tends to start a sentence to then leave it open-ended, which allows the audience to finish it in their minds. By doing so, it creates a feeling of intimacy and empathy with the public. Hence, he is able to gain more support. Oftentimes, Trump makes statements of regret and victimhood. For example, by saying, "and believe it or not, I regret it," it implies that you, as the audience, may not believe he has a sensitive soul. This results in a way of tricking the public. He will portray or make the Americans feel as the innocent victims of enemies in order to present himself as the savior. As said before, Trump chooses his words carefully. He does this so that people process the things he says unconsciously. In fact, research shows that Trump's speech came out to be on 4th grade level. Another aspect that Trump puts thought in is his body language. When he gives a speech, he uses body movement to emphasize the message he wants to deliver to the audience. He keeps his body upright, which makes the audience pay full attention to the speaker.
The U.S. has become a dumping ground for everybody else's problems. Thank you. It's true. And these are the best and the finest. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. But I speak to border guards, and they tell us what we're getting. And it only makes common sense. It only makes common sense. They're sending us not the right people. It's coming from more than Mexico. It's coming from all over South and Latin America, and it's coming probably from the Middle East.
To start off, in the presidential announcement speech of June 2015, Trump consistently uses pathos, ethos, and logos. Trump also aims to deliver speeches effectively through the body language, the tone of his voice, pauses, and the use of visual aids. Trump is argued to be a classical rhetoric, meaning that he can lie, exaggerate, and say the craziest things while making the audience believe that he's an honest and genuine person. He does this when proposing corrective measures about Mexico. Firstly, the personal pronoun they is used to present this particular group as hostile, and at the same time he is dehumanizing them. It helps Trump present the Mexicans as an enemy. Thereby, he is emotionally persuading the audience into believing that Mexicans are indeed bad people, thus motivating the worst in his followers. Another technique Trump utilizes is that he ends sentences with strong words. Together they create the theme of the entire speech. When Trump says, "We have no protection, we don't know what's happening," he aims to appeal to the audience's needs, values, and emotional sensibilities. Trump has a reputation for shooting from the hip. He basically says what comes to his mind at that moment. By calling Mexicans rapists and continuing to attack other regions of the world, such as the Middle East, his campaign has been widely criticized.
We need a leader that can bring back our jobs, can bring back our manufacturing, can bring back our military, can take care of our vets. Our vets have been abandoned. And we also need a cheerleader. You know, when President Obama was elected, I said, well, the one thing I think he'll do well, I think he'll be a great cheerleader for the country. I think he'd be a great spirit. He was vibrant. He was young. I really thought that he would be a great cheerleader. He's not a leader, that's true. You're right about that. But he wasn't a cheerleader. He's actually a negative force. He's been a negative force. He wasn't a cheerleader. He was the opposite. We need somebody that can take the brand of the United States and make it great again. It's not great again. We need somebody. We need somebody that literally will take this country and make it great again. We can do that.
In this part of the speech, Trump attacks President Obama as he softly expresses his feeling of hatred towards him, so that the audience is then able to develop the same feeling. He makes use of pathos by saying that Obama was a negative force, and that they need somebody that can make the United States great again. He emphasizes the words "we need," which indicates his concern about the people in America. This allows him to create trustworthiness of the audience. Towards the end of this section, he says "we can do that." The use of bandwagon presents him as an optimistic character. He continues to attack other politicians or previous leaders by asking rhetorical questions such as, how stupid are our leaders? How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen? How stupid are they? It seems as if he is implicating the audience as if they already agree. Furthermore, by using such simple words and applying the technique of anaphora, he can persuade the audience into believing each word he says. Trump's language is commonly emotional and aggressive. He aims not to begin on longer analysis of the problems of foreign policy, which again makes his position fairly difficult to criticize. Trump intentionally uses language in a way that is very effective. The simple words and sentence structure, combined with the repetition of rhetorical questions, his persuasive tone, and use of metaphors, creates an intentional pattern. Trump defines himself in terms of what he's not, psychologically referred to as notness language. This matches the anxiety of his target voters. It is a powerful tool as it tends to be clearer, more relevant, and also different. He pattern matches the anger of his audience using emotive language to create drama. Trump's tweets are a good example of aphorisms. He keeps sentences short and simple, while having the tendency for hyperbole and exaggeration. We can also identify that he doesn't feel the need to appeal to everyone, which makes him sound obnoxious. In one of the tweets, Trump says, "Sorry losers and haters, but my IQ is one of the highest and you all know it." In another one he says, "I beat China all the time." All the time. He creates an arrogant image while developing the pattern of narcissism. In addition to that, his tweets also seem to follow a pattern of harassment. Words are powerful tools, and Trump manages to select words that allow him to explain what he thinks is wrong with America, and this leads to a connection with his voters. He knows when to sound forceful, but cannot be referred to as smart. His word choice tends to revolve around the category, including words like terrible and violent. Trump ignores any danger of his words being used against him later. This makes him appear more truthful, even if what he says is offensive. The grammar used by Trump in his speeches corresponds to that used by students aged 11 and younger. His speech is appealing because it doesn't sound rehearsed, and the repeating phrases can be effective as it shows him as a consistent candidate. The reason why he stands out and is able to gain votes is his language style. He uses mental tricks to manipulate and verbally attack people. All in all, Donald Trump says what he thinks, and he will let his ideas and views be known.